Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 136 today.
Yes.
And we have quite a bit to share with you today, getting ready for Mother's Day weekend.
Ooh, and we have plans. This is something that Sarah and I have never done before, and we are so excited. We're going a couple counties over, and we're going to stay in a hotel and for Friday night and into Saturday, all day Saturday,
Yep.
spending the day together for Mother's Day. So later on, when Olivia gets a little older, she'll be able to come with us. But right now, this is our first annual weekend by ourselves for Mother's Day.
To celebrate Mother's Day.
Exclusively.
Yes, it's going to be so much
And our
fun.
husbands are, helping us out with it. So
So great.
I know, it's so wonderful.
We're going to do movie marathons, crafting, just having us time.
Oh, and the food. We are planning special food.
Whole buffet menu. It's so exciting.
And the fun part about this is we won't have littles to interfere with the said crafting, movies, or food.
And shopping. And shopping. Oh my goodness. The last
We're
couple
going
times.
shopping.
Yeah. I'm
We
so
are
excited.
going to have so much fun. So I hope that if you're a mom, that you're going to be just pampered and blessed beyond control and just having the time of your life this weekend, just like we are. But so I'm going to show you, I think I'm about finished with this. It's pretty tall. This is the blanket that I'm making for the cancer patient.
Do you need me to help you with it?
No, I think I've got it doubled.
Okay, I'll
So-
just scooch.
Yeah. So it's very pretty colors. It's mauvey purples and grays
Almost
of
looks like
all
a
different
geode or
shades.
something.
And it's 5 weight, and it's making a very, very nice patterns and cloth. And I did a half double crochet with a 10mm hook. And I think I'm about done with it now. It's about up to here on me. Excuse me so much. That just came out of nowhere. I have about this much left on the third ball. Excuse me again. Wow, it might be this blanket. I'm not used to such fuzzy yarn. And I think it just went,
Right up your nose.
I guess so. Excuse me for that. So yeah, that's pretty much complete. I have to finish that line, and then I will be done with that. And I can give it to this person whenever I see them next. So I think during this weekend I do have to have a project with me. And because I just finished this, I went into my craft room, and I did not give Sarah all my yarn. I gave her, she's laughing. I have this back because I found it at a thrift store. Now, I did share this with you when I first found it. It was 24, let me see, 24 skeins of superwash wool, 75% superwash wool and 25 polyamide. It's a 4 worsted weight Aran yarn, and white and gold and yellow or light gray, medium gray, dark gray, and 2 blacks. I have this whole mesh bag full of this. Let me get one of the labels out. I'll get one with a label on it. Lassie yarn. And it is made in Italy. Now I found it at a thrift store in this mesh bag, all 24 skeins. Kid you not. Yep. At Goodwill for $6. Can you believe it?
Such a deal.
Now, I was making myself a wearable with it, but that has since,
Frogged.
yes, I frogged it last night to have this yarn to use for whatever. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do is my husband and I have a queen size bed. And I would like to make a blanket, a nice wool blanket for our bed.
Okay.
And since I have all of this, I think it'll work. I'm hoping it'll be big enough for the bed. But it'll be a nice thin wool blanket to put on us over our sheet, maybe during the summertime. I'm one of those people who, although it may be hot or whatever, I still need a cover on during sleep. And so, and I know that wool is very wicking. It wicks away from you. And that's why wool socks are very comfortable to wear. And wool sweaters are comfortable to wear. Because they draw the moisture away from your body. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just start, and I'm going to make a line that will cover my mattress and come down the sides. And then I'm just going to go. And I'm going to go with it until I run out of yarn. So this is going to be a huge project, but it's going to be something that I'm going to find fun because that's my thing. I love blankets.
Yes.
So what do you have going on? And should I ask that way because she's got a lot going on?
Yes. To be fair, I did not bring everything that I have going on with me today for this, fine presentation, because otherwise we'd be here forever.
Oh, can I just interrupt for just one
Yes,
brief
go ahead.
announcement? Starlee Higgins, we still need you to get a hold of us. You are the winner from last week's announcement. And
For the giveaway.
Yes, for the giveaway. And we want you to get a hold of us through our email address down in the description. And we want you to let us know what your address is, that you are Starlee, that you are, the winner, and that you're giving us your address so we can send you the prize. After that, you can let us know when you've gotten it. And then we will delete your email, and we will not use your address for any other reason unless you win again next year. So we would like you, Starlee Higgins, to get a hold of us in our email address in the description area below. And now back to our Sarah.
So, I've briefly mentioned that I am working on writing patterns and right now trying to create a little small booth for keychains that I'm making. Mm-hmm. And I've showed you some of my keychain designs that I've made up, but I have 2 more that I've made this week.
So cute.
One of them is a candy corn to match the goose for that festive time of the year that is Halloween. And then I too have more edible food stuffs besides just the candy and the donut. I decided to do it's an ice cream cone for anyone that's... Oh, there we go.
And I'm really loving that you have the spread on top.
Yeah, the drip.
The drips and the melts.
I really hope you guys can see it. It's kind of being washed out. I'm trying to shade it.
Oh, I think it's good.
But yeah. And these are designs I'm hoping to be able to, in one way or another, be able to have available for stuff once I am able to actually get them written out, get them solidified, have them tested, and then get them organized for
sale.
For sale. So, but yeah, and then I was inspired by this because of several different conversations that we had and just Pinterest runs that we were doing. But I just kind of figured this out, as I tend to do, and I made a little hanging plant.
Isn't that the cutest? She had it hanging in my car for a little while, and it was just the cutest.
It looks like a little macrame hanging plant,
including the little tassels
at the bottom. So yeah, I find it enjoyable.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm considering just hanging it from my bag for giggles, because people are gonna be like, "What? Wait, is that? Oh no! It's not real."
Advertisement.
But what I'm working on at this moment, right now, is an idea that I have for the moms in my life. So this is not just, so how do I say this right? Oh well, I've showed so far the mandalas that I have braced on frames, whether it be wreath frames or whatever, and I've showed them to you before. What I am currently doing is I had the idea of doing a mandala with floral accents on it, where it's like you actually make the flowers and put it on it.
Yeah.
And then it could be used for different things. It could be used for jewelry hanging or whatever. And
like a 3D element.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what I'll say. It could be used, like her earrings can hang off of it, something. Yeah. But I'm doing my mother's-in-law's first because it was kind of been like a brain fog moment where I didn't really realize how close Mother's Day really was when we figured all this out. And since me and Mom are already doing something together, me doing this project for my mom has so graciously said, if it doesn't fall on Mother's Day when I get to her, it's fine.
It's also my birthday month, so it doesn't matter.
Right, because we are still doing something,
yes.
And this still can work for me still being able to offer something up to the other mother I have in my life.
Yep.
And so far, I have this.
So beautiful. Should I put something behind it?
Maybe.
Here, let's try this.
So that's the pattern I kind of went with, and then I braced it on this frame. And it looks rather well. Seeing especially on the camera, it looks very, very intricate. I enjoy making these. I am finding them very fun. And I got it, again, this frame was just $1.25 from
Dollar Tree.
And I think that this thread was maybe I bought this thread. But I think that
it's not that expensive even when you do buy it from the
store. This might have been one of those, like, it was a Goodwill haul, the thread. But it's just crochet thread. And I just made this pattern. It's very much heavily inspired by the virus pattern. So there is the virus pattern in there. And then I took liberty on working out from it with different ways. You can see the granny stitch in there, and I did another virus pattern, but I had to do it bigger, and it kind of is stretched out so it kind of looks like fans.
Yeah.
And then I did just kind of like a netting pattern so that I have enough to brace on it. And one of the things is that crochet has a lot more give than I think a lot of people always give crochet credit for. So always kind of size down before you're bracing it on, because you might think, oh, it has to be able to spread fully right away. I have to. No, you want it to be tight. So you kind of want it to be like maybe an inch or two, like away from it the whole entire way, and then you stretch it.
Right.
And how I've been doing that is with the beads being here, that kind of initiates this sense of what the spacing is for how to work with it. But I just counted the beads, and then I created a divide that worked for me, and I put light bulb safety stitch markers on there on the frame, and then I evenly divided where I wanted it to be placed with what the division was when it came to how I multiplied my pattern, and then I found ways of attaching stitch markers from the pattern onto those ones, and then I started to sew it on in a pattern that I thought would work to evenly distribute it, and I did, because not everything it did not work perfect. There was, to be able to do it perfectly and evenly, you have to kind of think through that, because sometimes the stitches is not the same as when, especially when there's beads on here. But when you have just a regular frame, just being able to evenly know where what your division and or multiplication is for your pattern, you can just frame it from those corners, or just those amount of stitches in between to evenly disperse it, and then you can go from there. But what I'm doing is this one, being with it having beads, it does have a connecting point, and so I want to cover that, and that's also where my start and end is. So even though you can't see it from afar, some of these stitches right here are kind of thicker because this is where the joins were for each row. So I plan to put the florals here, and I'm actually planning on doing like ivy leaves that kind of come up, and then I'm going to be doing a big sunflower and then 2 roses that set off on in between.
And that's her mother-in-law's favorite flowers.
And this color palette is heavily inspired by her favorite
colors.
So, and I think I'll have it be like much more of like a jewelry hanging, because she does wear jewelry and earrings. I think this would be a good earring hanging, thing. So, so that's what I'm going to do. And right now, again, I free-handed this through inspirations that I've had, and then right now I'm in the process of making the middle of the sunflower. So I started with a darker brown, and then I have this more sandy / clay colored brown, or taupe. And what I'm doing is if you can see, these stitches are raised, and I'm pretty much creating stitches over this pencil to create a lifted effect. I did not do that with the middle, but I'm doing this with this to make it look like it's the sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
So there's depth and texture.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I have this like mustard yellow thread, and I have plenty of this. I have it on a huge spindle, but I got 2 different sets of these on my yarn bobbins, my yarn bobbins, so that I would be able to double it, because I'm going to be making the petals with this, because I figured that this was like the most realistic, and I really want this because my mother-in-law said that purple, black, and sage green was her favorite colors. So, and with her favorite flowers being sunflowers and roses, it was like, okay, well, I have like a sage-ish green right here that I can make for the leaves. And then the sunflower can be in the middle, but I want it to meet the sense of the muted.
Yeah.
So I didn't want like a very high intense yellow. I wanted like a mustard, like autumn yellow. And so that should work with this. And I know that it's kind of flushing out that this looks like this, but it doesn't in real life.
No.
It definitely, this is much more mustard. And then my plan is to find a decent rose pattern to be able to make roses.
Right.
That will obviously partner with this. And I might do some other flowers. Like I thought about doing baby's breath in there to kind of like separate, but I don't know. We'll see. Right now, this is just a work in progress. I know that this is what I want to do, is the wreath with the mandala and then the floral. And I've had so many ideas as to whether I decorate the sides of it with something or try to create, like we call her glamma in it. But I feel like that's going to be overpowering my capacity for expectation with the amount of time that I have. And so it's one of those things where I want to be realistic with my time, enjoying the project and being able to actually make this something that can be functional. So maybe offering this up as something like a jewelry holder would work, because I've seen people actually make mandalas with the purpose of them being like earring holders. So with that being said, that just seems to be fully spot on. But yeah, I mean, I'm very blessed with the relationship I have with her and my mom. I know many people who either their moms are no longer with us, or they do not have the best relationship with their moms and or their parents. And I know that that's not the case with me, and I know I'm very blessed in that. Mom, you're wearing a sunflower shirt.
I am.
You didn't know, did you?
I didn't know.
But with that being said, just recognizing Mother's Day for what it is, I am very excited to be able to offer her this gift and just be able to be like, thank you for being you, because not every single relationship that you get when you're marrying into a family is smooth sailing.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. It is really nice to be able to know that I have had it really good.
Yes, you have.
So,
Yes.
I want to share, if I may, a couple of tips that recently have come into my to my attention, watching other crafters and how they work, and I thought that I might share them with you real quick here.
Okay.
I think I'll share this stuff later.
Okay.
But one of them you've kind of already seen, which are the hair clips with I got these on Amazon because you can see my hair's not so long. I got a haircut. I don't use these very often. I chose a color that my daughter wouldn't steer them because she doesn't care for black, unlike her mom. But I saw some people sharing that they use these hair clips as a means to contain their yarn or thread from unraveling. And I thought that was a very interesting idea. So like this brown that I'm no longer using, if you just roll it up, if you don't want it to unravel, you can just take the hair clip, unclip it, and pin it, and it's not going to come undone.
Isn't that clever?
And it's not going to unravel. Another person said that if you make cakes regularly, investing in old nylons or buying nylons and then cutting like small, like what it would look like circles of it, you can, and because it expands and contracts, you can put it around it and it will just contract around it and keep everything as centered, and then you can pull your thread from the middle.
There you go. Yeah.
Because you can see the color from up top, but it will kind of hug it from all around.
Yeah.
So that's another really good one. Another one, obviously I'm using my pencil right now to kind of space out stitches, but the rubber, the eraser, it's very grippy, and if you're like me and use stuffing a lot, like polyfill, always having something like this on hand in your craft bag, having an eraser on a pencil and keeping it long like this, makes for a very easy pushing and stuffing tool, because this the rubberiness of the eraser catches the silkiness of the polyfill, and it makes for an easy grip, because sometimes even with your own fingers they're soft, and they can, a soft on soft can just slide right off of each other. But having this a little bit more soft but abrasive grippiness of just something as simple as an eraser on a long stick, so it can poke and get into those nooks and crannies.
Because you want it compacted.
Because some polyfill bags do come with their own poking tool and stuffing tool. It's just this long, it almost looks like a chopstick. But I find that, and I've literally heard this be said, a broken pencil or like a chopstick, or even one of those tools that are actually been snapped so that the wood is a little bit shredded at the end, makes for a better poking tool than the stick alone, because it's more grippier, because it can grab the fibers easier. So there's that one. And the next one is, if you are trying to count your rows, get a big poppet, or even just a regular size poppet if you're only going up to 10 or 20. And what I'm talking about is the poppet, these poppet toys, where they resemble almost like bubble wrap, but it's reusable. You can literally count your rows by just popping one of them at a time. And for someone like me who is needing to count sometimes a very long time, my mother-in-law, who had bought this for the kids, was like, Sarah, you can just have this. Just have it. And I was just like...
So now she's got a counter.
Oh yeah, this thing is so helpful.
And...
It saves me on paper.
And it's an anxiety buster.
Yeah, but it saves me on paper and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. This thing is just amazing. I had a haul I've been wanting to save, and I've been saving it for a while to show you
About
guys.
a month now.
Yeah, because of the giveaway, I've been holding on to it. But, I just feel like we're going to save it for next week. And I'll make it the first thing that I do and present.
And maybe the only thing.
Maybe.
Because it's a pretty good haul.
It's a very big and good haul. I have literally 2 full containers of things to share with you guys that I really do think supports what my mom has always been saying, but just especially where we're going into the spring season, the idea of zooming towards all these people that are spring cleaning, garage sales, all these different estate sales. Think about the craft rooms. Think about the fact that there are going to be people who are trying to shed some of their load, and you can be like...
Getting it for a good price.
And just keep going and keep going. Get all that yarn and get it in your storehouse, because this stuff is expensive.
And when you're making little things, it just comes in so handy.
Yeah. So...
Well, we're going to do something
a little different
today. We're going to do favorite quotes or favorite verses.
Bible verses quoted to us
from loved ones. Loved
mother figures.
Yes. I don't remember anything from my own mom being verse-wise. She was not a churchgoer, and she didn't... I don't even think she did quotes very much. But my grandmother, she did. And there was one that was just her. That is her verse. She ingrained it in me. Now, today I couldn't think of it worth anything. And we finally had, I could think of one word, and it was good. And Sarah looked it up on her phone, and she said all verses were good in it. And it came up on the second one, and I'm like, yes, that's the one. I got it underlined under my Bible now. So it is, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. she quoted that all the time. She was a very
Big believer.
positive speaking person. She wanted to instill positivity into everybody she talked to. And she was positive that God had a purpose for everybody and that it was a good one. And so that's my grandmother's, her great-grandmother's favorite verse. I'm going to read it one more time. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to their purpose. That's found in Romans 8:28. And this is the New King James Version. So, which ones are you going to tell us today?
Well, it's not that I don't have mother figures in my life, because like I said, I'm literally making something for one of my mother figures, being my husband's mom. But I'm right now I'm sticking with things that I remember you talking about, just because not only just because of time, but because when I think about my mother-in-law's sayings, I think of them much more as like stories, or if she says it, it's such a matter of fact how she just presents her knowledge and her experience, that sometimes it's not that it's hard to absorb, because when you say it as a matter of fact, it is, but it just feels so her that sometimes I feel like it's hard to just settle on one thing that she says, because she has so many lessons that she just will say so matter of fact all the time, that there's not just one thing that I feel like I can just expound on. Maybe next year. Yeah. But because I think that making this
it's a good thing.
But when it comes to you, the one verse I heard you quoting a lot would be, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Philippians 4:13.
Yes.
And then she used to say that all the time whenever she was stressed or something heavy was going on or whatever. She just repeated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
I still do.
But one thing that is a lesson that she instilled in me since I was a little was some parts of your life, or even people in your life, are just seasons in your life, and to not be upset by those seasons or be worried that just because they've ended means that they're bad or that there was something wrong with them. Right. That it was just for a time. Yeah. And she said this about people. She said this about experiences. She said this about so many different things. And I found such wisdom and comfort in the ability to recognize that some parts of life and some relationships, whether it be friendships or acquaintances or co-workers or whatever it be, it is a moment. And some relationships that you just think are never going to be something that you question and that they're always going to be there, when they are, is sometimes just having that knowledge in the back of your head that you don't have to worry that everything that you've gone through with them has to be completely undone just by the ending. Because it's one of those things that I feel like any parent or any person who is even a pet owner knows. When a pet is getting old and they are getting to the end of their life, and or they are in a set of circumstances where they've been hit by a car or something, it's having to make that decision to put them down. It's one of those decisions of, if you have the money to try to make it work and you have the ability and the patience to be able to see them and nurse them through that, I'm not saying not to do that, but when push comes to shove and you realize that you cannot walk them through this, or it is just too dire, or whatever the circumstance may be, I realize that is a big spectrum. I'm not trying to crowd on that or gatekeep that. What I'm trying to say is, sometimes making the choice to put them down is better than waiting, because you lose out on the good memories by having the last memories that you have.
Sometimes it's just kinder.
Well, it's the last memories that you have of them being bad.
Yeah.
You don't want, and that's not trying to be selfish, that's just being realistic on top of it being kind. But it's one of those things, the same with even a loved one, where you see them going through the hardships of a disease that might be taking them out or whatever, having to keep in mind all the rest of the time you've seen them and them in their very vulnerable, weakest moments. It might only be a short amount of time, but to you, that is what's stuck in your mind, because of, despite everything else you knew of them. And you making a very big point of always trying to say, we don't just look at that. We don't just ever look at the tail end of it, because that doesn't take away everything else.
Right.
And there was just that lesson of, just because something stops doesn't mean that it didn't matter, or that it wasn't worth it, or that it wasn't important, or all those different things. It's like it's
just a season.
It's just a season, and that's okay. And it's okay to be sad that it's over, or be glad that it's over, because some seasons are not easy. But all the different things of navigating a space and time and being able to catalog it as something that you can take away from and you can give it meaning by recognizing that it's over, and being able to give yourself that permission of, especially even with relationships, of giving permission to think about it, but also recognize that's over. Not continuously going back to something that's not fruitful. Being able to set boundaries and things like that, just because you're like, that was for the time. I don't have to keep going back.
Right.
And I don't know, that was really important to me, and that's something that I've stuck with. I mean, there's several other things that you've said that I still remember, but that's something that even comes out in me a lot. Like, naturally will come out a lot, where I will literally say it must be for a season or whatever, because of how you instilled that message in me. I now have my own narrative and language of how I talk about seasons of life, because you made such a point of letting me know that life comes with that. So that I was aware of that, so that I wasn't surprised when it would happen, or felt like everything was crumbling underneath me when things changed quickly.
We're all in seasons in our life, and we never know when the new one's starting or the old one is leaving us. So,
and I'm not, as a mom, recognizing that my children are too little to really be able to say what I say. I know that I've had my daughter a couple of times questioned and quizzed on me on a piece of paper from school to say, what is something that mommy says to you a lot, or what are things that you like about mom, or da-da-da-da-da-da. And one of them was that she says that I tell her that I love her a lot, which I thought was,
that's sweet.
That's awesome. But something I know that I say and quote to them a lot, that I thought is just, I feel like just as a mom, these things come to you. But this one actually comes from a very old movie. It's Mike Myers' version of Cat in the Hat.
Okay.
And there's he's done the contract with the two kids, and as the Cat in the Hat, he's saying that everything is guaranteed under this contract, that no matter what they do, everything's going to be fine. But he talks about the fact that you want to have fun, but you have to know how, because there's a process to them learning their boundaries and how far they can go before they've gone too far.
Right.
Because he has that whole thing is you can't have fun without you making that little entendre of like word and letter play. But then with this one, it was like, you want to have fun, but you got to know how. And I feel like that is something I feel like I got from that movie. But I say that to my kids a lot, where it's like, that might be a silly old movie that some people don't like, but it's like growing up with that, and me now as an adult having that message of like, you want to have fun, but you actually have to know how to do it.
Right.
Because whether you're in a bad mood, or whether you are just
riding a bike.
riding a bike, and you're thinking that you're fine,
Or
just
using scissors.
or even when you're hyper and you're excited and you're running around, you're dancing, you could still slam into something, make a big mess. And it's like, you got to know how to have fun.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I other things I've told them is, do you want to stay in this mood that you're in? And I say that a lot to kind of get them to think when they're in a bad mood, where I was like, do you want to stay here?
Right.
And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, then let's get out of it. And we take a moment to think about what it's going to take to get out of it, if they need to talk themselves out of that mood or whatever. So I present it as like a choice. Do you want to stay here?
Yeah.
Do you want to stay in this mood?
Right.
Because if you do, then I'm going to let you be. If you want help, I can help you out of it, and we can make choices, and we can either talk about it, get you out, let it expel so it's not stuck in you, or we can move on and find something else and redirect you into something else, because mommy has to do that all the time. And the last thing I say to them is, just because it's the first idea that came to your head doesn't mean that's the right idea. Because they are spontaneous little guys, and I always have to be like, that might not have been the most thought through thing you guys have thought up today.
Right, right.
So yeah, I feel like as a mom, they come to you, and then you just say them over and over and over, and it feels like a broken record, but you don't realize how sometimes just those things, in that small way, they become like this domino or like that snowball effect, where they just accelerates and becomes bigger, and they mean a lot. They are impactful.
Yes. It affects them in the season that they're in.
And one thing I'm grateful for is that I feel like in my life there's many more good things that have been said than bad quotes or bad sayings that I remember. There's a couple that have stuck with me, but I feel like that's just, everyone is going to have those moments.
Yeah.
Where it's just going to be those things that you remember being said to you as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, by anybody. But
let us know what your moms say to you. Leave it in the comment.
You know, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the things that we remember that are good, because sometimes when we get stuck only remembering the bad, can't think of anything good to say.
Right. So, thumbs up, and like, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Yes. And as always, hope you've had a good day today. Hope that you are getting ready and having to have a great Mother's Day weekend, and that you stitch your way
to mental health.